Welcome to the Surviving to Thriving podcast that helps women leaders in nonprofits get out of survival mode and thrive in both leadership and life. I'm your host, leadership development coach Kathy Archer, and I help women leaders enjoy impactful leadership. Do you ever have trouble making decisions? Maybe there's too much going on, you're unsure of the best choice, or you're worried about making the wrong decision? Yeah, me too. I've been there a zillion times. And here's the thing. When you're having trouble making a decision, it's probably because you are trying to make a decision in the middle of a big old mess. I remember when my husband and I used to travel with the kids, and we would be trying at the end of a long day to find the campground. And this was before GPS systems were in vehicles now. And I would be in the passenger seat with the big old map spread out in front of me, trying to figure out which turn off and which road we were going down and where we were supposed to go. And he would be saying to me, do I turn here? Do I turn here? Is this the right turn off? And I'd be like, I don't know. Just a sec. I'm trying to figure it out. He's like, but I have to decide now. I don't have time. Like, is this the right turn or not? And that's the kind of pressure we're often under when we're trying to make decisions. If we are going to be an effective leader, if we are going to make good decisions that take our team in the direction we want to go, we need time to think before we decide, deal with things, or delegate things. We need time to discern. And we actually aren't taking time to discern. Instead, we're trying to make decisions in the middle of big old messes without all of the information and when we're in high stress mode. Think about this example. Imagine walking home at the end of the day and you open the door and you're bombarded with all of this noise. There's like the TV blaring, there's music screaming from down the hallway, and your son meets you at the door and he's like, Mom, where's my jersey? We got to go to the game tonight. And you come up the stairs and your husband's like, what's for supper? I thought we had this figured out last night. I got to take Josh to the game. We don't have a lot of time. What's for supper? And you hear the smoke detector going and you're trying to decide where's the jersey and what's for supper. It's really hard in the middle of that mess to make those decisions. If you're going to make a good decision, like what are we having for supper, you're going to have to push pause on that movie for a minute. And if you push pause on that movie for a minute and you realize that, oh yes, I forgot that the security guys were going to be here today testing the smoke detector alarm. And that's probably why my daughter's down the hall with her music blaring. She's probably trying to tune out the smoke detector. My son was probably in the living room trying to tune it out and he had the TV cranked. Okay, let's just tune those down for a moment. What else is going on? Oh yeah, we knew tonight was soccer practice. We always know Tuesday nights is soccer practice. That's right. I made extra chili on the weekend so that we would have leftovers for Tuesday night. And so from there, you're able to unpause the movie and say, Josh, go turn down the TV. Your jersey's in the living room, in the basket, on the top of the pile. It's right there for you because we knew you'd need it tonight. And you'd say to your husband, yeah, remember we made chili on the weekend, so there'd be leftovers. You guys can grab yours and head out the door, and I'll make sure me and Becca figure out supper once we get the security guy out of the house. And you're able to make decisions and respond in a way that is calmer. You're able to make decisions that are based on your values. You wanted to have a decent supper rather than grabbing takeout. And you're able to be still in control of your emotions despite all of the chaos going on. I mean, you could have walked in the door and snapped at your husband and said, I don't know, what's for supper? You beat me home. That wouldn't be composed. But instead, when you're able to push pause on everything that's going on around you, you're able to discern things. And that's what's important for us in our leadership, is that we're able to step back from the chaos. That smoke detector sounded like an emergency until you were able to step back and go, oh yeah, that's his emergency, not my emergency. And that's often what happens in our leadership roles. We're responding to everybody else's emergencies and everybody else's crisis, and there's noise all over the place. And we have trouble making decisions when we're in that place. So what we really need to do as leaders is slow things down. We need to make sure that we sort of pause the situation around us so that we can make good decisions based on things that are important to us, our organization, the people we work for. And we need to, as I said, discern, sort of step back and look at all of the moving parts. What's going on in our organization? What's the energy of our team? What's our culture or environment that we're dealing with? What's coming up in, the next few weeks, the next month? All of that stuff we need to discern. We need to stop and slow things down. And what happens for us is we get caught in tunnel vision. When we're trying to make a decision, like me with my husband going, which way do I turn? Which way do I turn? I'm stressed. And when we're stressed, our bodies react to that fight or flight mode. So we either fight, flight, or freeze. So we either make a snap decision or lose our composure and make a snap comment. That's that fight piece, right? We snarky comment back. We just make a quick decision, or run away, meaning, I don't know. I don't know how to deal with this. I can't make a decision today. We'll worry about this later. And this is where people keep waiting for you to make decisions and keep coming back to you, wondering why you haven't made that decision yet, because you keep running away from making the decision because you haven't taken the time to slow down and think things through. Or you freeze and you really get stuck in your head around, is this the right decision? How do I make that decision? What am I going to do? What if I make the wrong decision? When am I going to have time to sit down and think about this? What if? And you create this sort of tape in your head, this loop that makes it really difficult to make a decision because you keep going through the same things over and over and over again. And you're basically stuck on repeat. And so we need to, again, step back. And when you're in stress mode, you're in tunnel vision. So you have to take a deep breath, take a moment, walk away, create a few minutes to think, create space to think, create time to step back, think strategically, and discern what's going on. When you step back, you get that wider picture view. You're able to see in your peripheral vision, you're able to see farther ahead instead of just head down. And that's where you're able to make decisions easier. I wanted to touch quickly, though, on one of the things that Charmaine, probably said his name wrong, talks about in his book, Positive Intelligence, which is really about helping us access those inner sort of voices that we hear in our head. And one of the voices that we often hear in our head is the judge. And that judge is actually picking apart everything. Therefore, we need to make sure we're discerning and not judging. When you are discerning, you're paying attention to things as they are. You're looking at sort of the facts and you're being observing in that non-judgmental way. You're calmly noticing what's working, what's not working, what's going on. And your focus is on what's going on so that you can move forward. The judge is actually in reaction mode. Discerning, you're responding. The judge is actually in reaction mode. You are upset, you're disappointed, you're anxious, you're angry, you're blaming, you're scornful, you're betrayed, you're resentful, you're like, ugh, this is just frustrating me, and you're just not happy and you're just making a decision. And instead, when you are responding, you're actually calm. When you're discerning, you're calm, you are curious, you are looking at sort of what's happening, but also what can we create here. Your feelings, whether you're feeling that calm, open, responsive feeling, or you're feeling reactionary and anxious and sort of frustrated. Remember when that example I used at the beginning where you snap at your husband and you're like, I don't know, what's for supper? You're probably in judgment mode. You're not making a good decision then. Instead, when you discern, and again, you slow down, take a deep breath, push pause on all of the noise going on in the background, you're able to make a better decision. That's what we need to do as leaders. We need to create time and space to discern before we decide. When we're having to make decisions, where we're needing to make answer questions that people have sometimes when we're needing to move forward on proposals or funding, or just, what are we going to do? And we're in the middle of still responding to COVID right now. And as we reopen, how are we going to deal with things? What are the steps we need to take? Whose perspectives do we have to consider here? All of that is sort of discerning. When you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling pressured to make decisions, you are not discerning. You are responding to the stress. You're actually not responding. You're reacting to the stress that's going on, and you won't be making good decisions. Last week, we talked about 3 alternatives to journaling. So those are 3 good ways to look at to kind of go back. So quick ways to help you step back and discern. This isn't something that takes hours. This is something that literally can take a few moments or like a second even, when you just step back, take a deep breath and go, okay, what's going on here? And sometimes you already know the answer. In fact, many times you already know the answer. Again, go back to that example about supper. She already knew that supper was in the fridge, but because she was in stress mode, she was just reacting to the request from her husband, the request from her son, the noise that was going on. And that's what happens for us. We know often what we need to do, or we have a clear sense of where to take the next step or who to ask for help, but we aren't going to be able to access that inner wisdom when we don't slow down. In the book, Mastering Confidence, that I wrote, it talks about the inner guidance cycle. And again, that inner guidance cycle helps you access your inner wisdom. And the first step is always pause. You have to pause, step back, take a deep breath, grab your journal, go for a walk, go to the bathroom and shut the door, shut your office door. Ask everybody to just leave you alone for a minute. It's pausing. And if we don't pause, we're often in stress mode. If you want to learn to discern, which again is separating things, making sense of things before you have to decide, pause first, step back. In last week's podcast, I gave you 3 alternatives to journaling, and I included a handout or a download or a guide that you could get with those 3 alternatives in it. I'll make sure that link is in the show notes again, because that's one way. There are many, but that's one way to access that inner wisdom and to help you discern before you decide, is to really slow down and either journal or these 3 alternatives that I gave you. And again, I'll put that link in the notes. But it really is about slowing down, taking time to think before you have to decide something, deal with something, or delegate something. When you take the time to discern and you're responding from a conscious, present, mindful state, rather than judging and reacting from a stressed out state, you are going to make better decisions. You are going to feel better about those decisions, and you are going to ditch survival mode and move to thriving in both your leadership and your life. Go make the rest of your day awesome, my dear. If you found today's episode helpful, then you are going to love the training library. Many women leaders in nonprofits wish that they had a coach or a mentor to help them, but they don't believe that they or their organization can afford it. Oh, but you can. Inside of the Training Library membership site, you will not only get access to affordable and easily accessible ongoing personal and professional development training, you will also have access to a leadership coach at your fingertips. That way, when you hit those inevitable challenges that leadership will bring your way, you'll have both the resources and the support to navigate your way through them with confidence, composure, and while keeping your integrity intact. To find out more, head to kathyarcher.com/library. If you are enjoying the show, I'd love it if you could leave me a comment or a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks for listening. Go make the rest of your day awesome.